Hey there guys, it's GT5Man21 and today I'm giving you a review of the Australian Grand Prix, the 2014 race coming from Melbourne in Australia, Albert Park Street Circuit. That didn't make any sense whatsoever. But anyway, before we get to the race itself, let's have a look what happened in qualifying. Now, it was a very eventful qualifying. It was very good, excitable to watch at the same time, with so many people making mistakes. And with the rain spicing up things with mixed conditions, it spiced up the order for what would be a truly great race for the Sunday. But anyway, let's start with Q1. Now Q1 was dry at the beginning, but then in the second half it was wet, and because of that, no people could go any better. So pretty much the Lotuses were already screwed as they were at the back. So Maldonado again did not set a time at all. So Ricciardo was the fastest in Q1, and the people who were eliminated from Q3 were Max Chilton, Jules Bianchi, Esteban Gutierrez, Marcus Ericsson, Romain Grosjean, and Pastor Maldonado. Another thing also, guys, Esteban Gutierrez had a 5-place grid penalty, I believe, for reasons I don't know. But he had a penalty which dropped him down to the back. So Romain Grosjean was not on the back row, but Pastor Maldonado was. Then we got into Q2 where it was wet, but the track was drying out. People were staying on the intermediates for the whole quarter Q3. And in the end of that, it was Nico Rosberg who was the quickest in Q2. But there were so many surprises to be knocked out during the qualifying session. One of them was Jenson Button. He went into the pits at the wrong time, meaning that he couldn't get back out to do another lap, and he could only manage 11th. Another shock was Kimi Raikkonen. He was trying to better his lap time, however, because of how much torque the cars have got now and with less downforce than what there was before, he lost the back end and went spearing into the wall, losing his front wing and getting out the car. People had to slow down, but they were able to pick up the pace when they passed the green flag. But the biggest surprise of all of them was four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, the defending champion, only managed 13th. He was trying to better his lap, but when Kimi made a mistake, he had to slow down, which didn't seem much because he only had to back up just a tiny bit, so then he'd get the full power down. But at 2 corners, he made a mistake. He missed the apex at turn number, I believe it's turn number 8, and then missed the apex at turn number, I believe it's 11, as he caught the white line and nearly went off. So he could only manage 13. Which would later become 12, for reasons I will explain in a bit. So the people who were knocked out in Q2 were Jenson Button, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Adrian Sutil, I believe. Then there was Kamui Kobayashi, who qualified in 15th but would move up to 14th for reasons which I will explain a bit. And the other one who also got knocked out was Sergio Perez. So then we got into Q3, and that was exciting to watch. Now I should explain, there have been some changes to the qualifying format, specifically with timing. Q1 has been shortened from 20 minutes to 18 minutes. Q2 remains the same with 15 minutes, but Q3 has been extended from 10 minutes to 12 minutes, so a little bit more running indeed. It was very close indeed, with so many drivers choosing either the wet or the intermediate. It was a question of who had got that gamble right. And for the looks of it did look like Ricciardo was going to get on pole as he was on the intermediate. But a very good last lap from Lewis Hamilton meant he took pole position by 3 tenths on the wet weather tyres. So Hamilton was on pole ahead of Ricciardo, Rosberg, and then in 4th was Kevin Magnussen. A great performance from him. 5th place was Fernando Alonso, with John Eric Verne 6th. Nico Hulkenberg was 7th, with I believe it was Daniel Kvyat in 8th, Felipe Massa 9th, and Valtteri Bottas 10th. However, Valtteri Bottas received a 5-place grid penalty, dropping him down to 15. So that is why Jenson Button, Kimi Räikkönen, Sebastian Vettel, Adrian Sutil, and Kamui Kobayashi moved up a position. So the grid looked like this then for the race. It was Lewis Hamilton on pole with Daniel Ricciardo second, Nico Rosberg third, with Kevin Magnussen fourth, Fernando Alonso fifth, with Jean-Eric Vergne sixth, Nico Hülkenberg seventh, Daniel Kvyat in 8th, with Felipe Massa 9th, Jenson Button 10th, Kimi Räikkönen 11th, Sebastian Vettel 12th, with Adrian Sutil 13th, Kamui Kobayashi in the catering 14th, great performance from him, Valtteri Bottas 15th, with Sergio Perez 16th, then it was Max Chilton in 17th, with Jules Bianchi 18th, then it was Marcus Ericsson in 19th, with Romain Grosjean 20th, and then at the back it was Pastor Maldonado in 21st, and Esteban Gutierrez in 22nd. So we get to the race, and it was dry. There was rain predicted, but it wasn't predicted that the track was going to wet it, so it was going to be a dry race. And but there was a lot of holes, because before the formation lap started, the Marussia of, I believe it was Max Chilton, stalled on the grid, meaning that he had to start from the pit lane, along with Romain Grosjean, who elected to start from the pit lane as well. And then, just before the race got started, someone else stalled on the grid, and it was the other Marussia of Jules Bianchi. So Marussia did not have a good day. He had to start from the pit lane as well. So that was disappointing there for Marussia. Now, the next thing happened, we finally got the race going afterwards, but it was just a guessing game, because every team was in new territory. They didn't know whether the cars would make it to the end or not. It was new territory for them. Not only were they racing, but they were also learning new stuff at the same time. But the race got underway, and Hamilton got bogged down at the start, and got passed by Daniel Ricciardo and a flying Nico Rosberg, who went on to take the lead at turn 1. Hamilton had dropped down to 3rd, and Rosberg was continuing to pull away from Daniel Ricciardo, showing that Mercedes did have pace from the winter testing. But then it seemed that Lewis Hamilton was going backwards as Kevin Magnussen passed him for 3rd, and then seconds later Fernando Alonso then passed him for 4th. Nico Hülkenberg passed him for 4th, and then Fernando Alonso passed him. And it actually turned out that he had a problem, and unfortunately on lap 3 he came back into the pit and retired thanks to a cylinder loss. He actually lost a cylinder. The cars run on 6 cylinders, and he was only running on 5 cylinders. The car would still work, but it was down on power, and if you're down on power, you ain't going to perform well, are you? You're just going to go to the back. So Hamilton retired, and yeah, that was the end of his race. And then the next retirement was, shockingly, 4-time champion, defending champion Sebastian Vettel was the next person to retire from the race. He had a similar problem, but it wasn't due to a cylinder. He actually had an ERS issue. Now you might think, well, it would have fixed itself. It's not like KERS, guys. It's not a kinetic energy. Kinetic charges itself. Energy does not. And if your ERS system fails, that's the end of your race. You can't go any further. So Vettel retired on lap 5, which was disappointing in the defence of his title and trying to equal Juan Manfredio's tally of 5 titles. So with 2 champions out, 2 big names out of the race, we only had 20 cars. Well, first of all, actually, we need to go back on lap 1. There was actually 18 cars left, as there was a crash between Kamui Kobayashi and Felipe Massa. The pair of them, I believe, did get an okay start. However, Kamui Kobayashi went hot into turn 1, hit the back of Massa. Massa damaged the rear of his car and couldn't continue, and Kamui Kobayashi broke both of the front suspension, which meant those 2 could continue no longer. Surprisingly though, there was no safety car to bunch the field up. But that only came until lap 13, when Valtteri Bottas was catching up to Fernando Alonso, made a mistake and brushed the wall, which didn't seem that bad, but actually he had a puncture which came off the rim and was parked near the apex of the track. And also, what was awful, a fan had actually lost his hat and had gone right onto the track close to the racing line. So they had to bring the safety car out on lap 13 to retrieve it. Fortunately, Bottas was able to continue, as there was no damage to the suspension whatsoever. The safety car pulled in and Rosberg was able to lead the field again and was able to pull another gap from Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo had his mirrors full of Kevin Magnussen for a few laps, but Kevin had to save fuel. But the biggest scrap on track was for fourth place between Nico Hülkenberg and Fernando Alonso, who were fighting it out for the fourth place. Fernando struggled to find a way past that Force India, so he had to wait until the second round of pit stop. Everyone had made their first pit stop by now, so he had to wait until the second round of stops to try and leapfrog him. But they also had another problem as well. Jenson Button had leapfrogged a lot of the pack. He leapfrogged like 4 cars during the safety car period and was right on the back of them as well, trying to find a way past Alonso and Hülkenberg. So he had to wait until the second round of stops because he couldn't find a way past either. But you could clearly hear how much locking up Nico Hülkenberg did. He was locking up constantly, and it sounded like a girl screaming. But there was still more retirements to come, and I believe one of them was, trying to think now, the 2 Marussias actually came back on the track. Chilton was a lap down, but Jules Bianchi was 8 laps down. But then the team chose to retire him on safety grounds, just to cool the engine down, as he was not going to get anything out of it. Then we had Marcus Ericsson, who retired for some reason, and then inevitably the 2 Lotuses decided to retire as well. They have been having problems all testing, and it looked like they resolved them, but Ricciardo, on the other hand, it seems that Red Bull have already sorted out the issues and was doing a fantastic job, but he had his mirrors full of Kevin Magnussen's McLaren. During the stops, it looked like at one point Kevin was going to get the jump on him, but Ricciardo managed to get his foot down and just keep ahead of the Dane, who looked to be on course to pick up a podium in his first race, in his first ever race in Formula 1. The last person who did that actually in a McLaren was actually Lewis Hamilton, so he could be looking like he was going to do the same. But the battle between fourth went down to the pits. Button went in first actually, to try and see if he can get some clean air, and then Hülkenberg actually came in afterwards, and Jenson managed to get the jump on him. Fernando needed to get his foot down, and eventually he came into the pit. However, Button had put in some red hot laps and was able to leapfrog the Ferrari to move up to 4th. So Jenson was on a charge and was at one point trying to catch up to his teammate Kevin Magnussen. He was going quicker than Ricciardo and Magnussen, and at one point Alonso tried to get in the fight as well for second. And then really nothing much happened after that, other than there was a lot of battles. In fact, there was a scare for Verne on the last corner when Bottas eventually passed him. Raikkonen had passed the 2 Toro Rossos as he was stuck behind them all day to move up to 7th. But the checkered flag eventually came out, and it was Nico Rosberg who took the win by a full 23 seconds ahead. He completely dominated the race. He fully deserved it to take the early lead in the Drivers' Championship. Second place went to Daniel Ricciardo. The fans went wild, and Kevin Magnussen in his rookie year came in 3rd place, with Jenson Button 4th, Fernando Alonso in 5th. But the driver of the day has to go to Valtteri Bottas, who came back from a puncture and a bad start to cross the line in 6th position. What an amazing drive from the Finn, showing that he has got full potential this season. Then Raikkonen was 7th, with Verne, Hulkenberg was 7th, with Raikkonen 8th, sorry, Raikkonen was not 7th, he was 8th, with Verne 9th and Kvyat in 10th. So very good result for the two rookies in the points. So in the Drivers' Championship, Nico Rosberg led with Daniel Ricciardo 2nd, with Kevin Magnussen 3rd, Jenson Button 4th, Fernando Alonso 5th, with Valtteri Bottas 6th, Nico Hulkenberg 7th, with Kimi Raikkonen 8th, John Verne 9th, and Daniel Kvyat in 10th. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren lead the way by 2 points ahead of Mercedes, with Red Bull 3rd, Ferrari are in 4th position, with Force India in 5th position. Sorry, not Force India. Williams in 5th position with Force India 6th, and then finally we have Toro Rosso in 7th. And then the four teams that still yet to get off the point scoring board are as follows: Lotus, Marussia Caterham, and I believe Sauber are yet to get off the point scoring board. Sutter came to the finish, as did Esteban Gutierrez, but couldn't get in the points. So now it moves off to Malaysia. So what do we expect? Now my bet of Hamilton winning the race was wrong. So I've lost a bet against 99 Pit Matt, really. He's won about 150 quid now because he betted it at a betting place. Well, his dad did anyway. And now they've won 150 quid because they betted Rosberg would win. So, yeah. So I got my bets wrong. So thank you. That's my review of the Australian Grand Prix. Overall, it's been a very, very good race. I absolutely enjoyed it. So much action and only 14 cars finishing, which was surprising. Anyway, that's my review. So, yeah, I will see you again next week for the Malaysian Grand Prix. So thank you very much for watching. And, yeah, I will speak to you soon. Take care. Hey guys, these are just 3 things that have just came into the world of Formula 1 that I've got to mention now. One of them is false information that I mentioned in the video, and the other one, and the 2 other things are actually latest news that have come in the world of Formula 1. So let's start off with the false information. The first false information is, the false information that I mentioned, I said that the Malaysian Grand Prix was next week, and it actually turns out that's false. It's actually in 2 weeks. So the Malaysian Grand Prix is in 2 weeks, not next week. So you will see this series again in 2 weeks, the preview and the review. And now we get to the 2 latest newses in the world of F1 regarding the Australian Grand Prix. The first one is the incident between Kamui Kobayashi and Felipe Massa. Now, I didn't mention this, but that incident went to the steward's investigation to investigate the incident between Massa and Kobayashi, and it concluded to have no further action. Yeah, no further action was taken in the accident. So really, it was just a racing incident with Massa breaking at the correct point and Kamui Kobayashi coming in way hot. So it was really nobody's fault, to be honest. So there was no further action. And yeah, just basically a racing incident. But the second one is actually big news, and it's regarding one of the people on the podium, and that being, I'm going to mention now, it has just came through on BBC Sport that Daniel Ricciardo has been disqualified from the final result, meaning that he loses his 2nd place. The reason why he has been disqualified is because he broke the rules for the fuel conservation rules. There's a fuel conservation rule, and there is a limit on how much conserving of fuel you need to do in the race, and I believe that Daniel actually went just over the limit. So I'm afraid, meaning that he had more fuel than everybody else did. So I'm afraid he actually got disqualified from the final result, meaning that he loses his 2nd place. So that means that everyone from 2nd down, apart from the people who retired, from 2nd down has moved up 1. So it means that Kevin Magnussen has moved up to 2nd place, and Jenson Button, for the first time since Brazil 2012, gets on the podium. So the actual final result of this, and the Drivers' Championship as well, is that Nico Rosberg won the race ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Jenson Button was 3rd, with Fernando Alonso 4th, Valtteri Bottas 5th, with Nico Hulkenberg 6th,
Kimi Raikkonen 7th, Jean-Eric Vergne 8th, Daniel Kvyat in 9th, and Sergio Perez taking up the final point. So in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren Mercedes lead the championship now by 8 points, not 2 points, ahead of Mercedes, with